Ever since I first traveled outside of the United States, I knew I wanted to study abroad while I was in college. After declaring a major in geology, it became obvious to me that New Zealand was one of the best places I could possibly choose to spend a few months abroad, as it is home to some of the most spectacular geologic sites in the world. My parents knew how much I had always looked forward to the day I'd finally be able to begin my study abroad experience, and they were excited for me to have such a unique educational opportunity. Although they had never gone to college themselves, they were able to see that studying in a foreign country would broaden my horizons in so many ways. When I arrived at the University of Otago, it wasn't hard for me to decide which geology class I wanted to take. The university offered a course on tectonics, with a field trip to the Alpine Fault. Not only was this a course my school did not offer, but I was also going to have the opportunity to see some incredible geology that the United States simply does not have. The Alpine Fault is the boundary between the Pacific and Australian plates, two massive pieces of Earth that are moving towards one another at a rate of 40 millimeters a year. The collision of these two plates results in the spectacular Southern Alps seen in the South Island, as well as some other amazing features that are particularly exciting for geologists. I was able to spend 5 spectacular days in the field with our professors, two of the leading experts on the Alpine Fault. Not only were these 5 days full of some beautiful scenery, but I was also able to learn hands-on with material that I would not have otherwise had the chance to work with. I learned so much more while being face-to-face with the geology than I ever would have just reading papers and listening to our professor's lecture. More than anything, however, I learned more about my own love of geology, particularly of mountains and active tectonics. This field trip is a more specific example of what I found most valuable about my time in New Zealand, which was how much I learned outside of the classroom. Living in a foreign country, as opposed to just visiting it, forces you to learn so much more about a new culture, a new history, and about yourself. Everything I learned while on my Alpine Fault field trip, and while in New Zealand in general, were all things I would not have been exposed to had I not followed through with my dream to study abroad. First-generation college students, or their parents, may not know this, but studying abroad is an overall learning experience, one that adds an incredibly life-changing and rewarding aspect to your education.
I've been waiting, it's alright, talk to the homie after a while.